What's up, world? I am back with another podcast. I go by DJ Ali Red, and we are in the building with another episode of the All Things House podcast. We have a special guest hailing from the NYC. It's always fun to interview DJs and producers that are back from where I am from. This DJ producer has released on Nervous Records alongside releases from Glasgow, Refuge and Rawsome, just to name a few. He also has a label called Jack City, and we will get into that too. My homeboy from the NYC, Pinto. What's up, bro?
Yo, what's good, man? Thanks for having me, bro. Of course, appreciate it.
Of course, man. How you doing today?
Good, dude. Just another day in the city.
Yeah.
It's super hot out.
I about to say, dog, it's hot as hell over there, huh?
Bro, I'm sweating already in my apartment.
Yeah, I figured.
It's hot, man.
Yeah, I am too, bro. I have all the windows and stuff closed. I don't want any distraction or anything, and it's hot as hell right now. But I'm sweating my ass off right now, man. It's hot. But yeah, man, let's get right into it, man. So in the beginning of the podcast, we like to start by getting our guests' backgrounds and how they kind of got introduced to the music scene and start from there.
All right, cool. So yeah, my story started a long time ago. I'm 29 years old right now. I turned 30 in about a month.
Okay.
I started when I was 10 years old. So I started making music when I was 10.
Nice.
My brother was 18 at the time. He's 8 years older than me, and I kind of looked up to him. And shout out to my older brother, because without him, I would have never got into music. So basically, he was a hip hop producer. I was a hip hop producer. And I just thought that was cool. Sample driven. I was from New York.
Yeah.
I'm very inspired by that. Whatever. That I kind of did that as a hobby. Mm-hmm. At about 15, I stopped producing music because I ended up, I was actually a really good soccer player growing up.
Oh, nice.
I ended up going to play at St. John's University, Division I. And they're like a top 25 program. So it was like super serious. I devoted my life to sports. Ended up going to St. John's. Ended up getting redshirted, which was super tough because I was used to playing all the time. And basically, I was a practice player. That's what essentially a redshirt is. Mm-hmm. Pretty common for freshmen, but still pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was kind of like down and depressed and used to playing and like now upset. And coincidentally, my roommate was a DJ and he was 23. He was a senior. He was from Sweden. And I was 17, a freshman. And we lived in an apartment out in Queens. And he would like go travel with the team in Florida, California, and I was a practice player, so I'd be home. So I kind of just started using his equipment, started DJing, and I was just like, damn, this is kind of dope. Like, this is just fun. And it was kind of like making me happy and stuff. So then I started DJing like some of the college bars and some of the St. John's parties. So I started more as like a EDM, hip hop, like open format DJ. Mostly EDM because this is in 2010 when that Alesso and all that stuff was like fire. So I was playing most of that, and then ended up even getting like some residencies. Like now, 2 or 3 years later, I was playing at like Gansevoort Hotel, like the Griffin, like Highland Ballroom. Like Chris Paul would be at my gigs, like Chris Brown, Kyrie Irving. It was all like bottle service stuff. And I wasn't even 21, so it was dope. Like everyone was like, yo, this is really cool. But it just like, it never like sat with me. Like I didn't enjoy bottle service. I hated the promoter in my ear all the time and like telling me what to play and like doing this and doing that. And like, I always gravitated towards house, even though I was quote unquote open format. Mm-hmm. I always got as much house as I could into it. And I kind of like maybe like 7-8 years ago, I was like, I don't want to do the open format stuff anymore. I'm going to just start, playing house music. And now I'm here now.
Now you're there.
So it's just like started all over, but now dedicated to house.
So when you made that transition to solely in house and you said you had to start all over again, how did that go?
It was tough, dude. It was like in 2014. I kind of thought I was going to quit DJing. Mm-hmm. So the thing was, in New York City at the time, as an open format DJ, EDM was still prominent. So you could still be playing house 80%. Well, EDM, top 40 house. 80% of the time, 20% hip hop. Mm-hmm. But hip hop started becoming more prominent. So now it's maybe like 50-50. And again, I didn't really want to do that. So then I kind of just was like, am I just going to quit? And I'm like, I guess I'm just going to quit. Like, I don't want to play open format anymore. I want to only do house, but like, how do I even start? And I was living in my parents in Long Island at the time. So it's like, it's not far, but it's in suburbs, like maybe 35 minutes out the city.
Yeah.
And, you know, speaking of my brother was like, yo, the Brooklyn scene is really on fire right now. You should start doing more like techier and like underground stuff. And I guess because my brother's 8 years older than me, he always had this like mature, even with hip hop stuff. Like my sound was always older sounding because it was influenced by that.
Yeah.
And so then I kind of started checking out these Brooklyn parties, and then I kind of started my own events at these like little bars and put myself on and was like dragging my friends like 40 minutes away to like come support me. And then I started making music, and like I kind of like stopped making music a little bit, or was doing like more like EDM stuff. And then at this time I started doing like techier and like more sample driven. And yeah, dude, I just kind of stuck with it. I kind of did it on my own and just kept going.
So when you got back into it and you said that you started the production aspect, who are some of the people that you kind of mimic? I'm not mimicked your sound, but you know, kind of wanted your sound to like formulate why? Because obviously New York City, I mean, there's a great debate where house music started. I'm from the East Coast, so I mean, we're going to the East Coast. You heard? but so yeah, so like, I mean, we have like a long tradition of, you know, house music. So I mean, you probably had a lot of different, you know, influences and kind of DJs and producers that you looked up to.
Yeah, I mean, so influences growing up. I would say like the big influence is not even in terms of DJing. Like my brother came from hip hop, so it was like very big Nas, Jay-Z, Biggie, like all Mobb D, all the true New York guys. Then my parents were very like, you know, very fun party people. So they loved like disco and freestyle, 90s house, like Crystal Waters and Robin S. And they would drop that stuff. So I think naturally, you know, DJs I kind of resonated with. And like, again, I didn't understand it fully at the time, but I resonated with the New York guys like Kenny Dope and Todd Terry and Junior Sanchez. And then like, I thought even at that time, Demuir was putting out cool stuff. J. Paul Ghetto was putting out good stuff. So I don't know, naturally I started sampling, and my drums just were never too minimal because I guess I was from New York and I loved like high energy stuff. And I people say my drums are very New York sounding, but I didn't even mean for that to happen. I just think it just happened. My drums are naturally like upbeat and jacky and very swingy. And then I added my sample driven stuff. And then, so those were like, it influences in terms of DJs, but like influences in terms of family and like how that all kind of blended together. And that's kind of just how it happened. Yeah.
So at what year did it kind of like take off for you? As far as, we'll talk about the production side of it, but like the DJing, like when you had like solidified, like you are the DJ, the man, you know what I mean?
So it was kind of weird. I think as like an EDM DJ younger, I had like some prominent success in like some of those bottle service clubs. And then I was playing even like Webster Hall and like Pacha and like Main Floor. Then I kind of stopped doing that. Then in terms of the house stuff, I don't think I really started playing like good parties till maybe like 2017, 2018. In 2017, I made my debut in like Puerto Rico, ended up playing in San Diego with like Paul and Junior in them because they were like, yo, your stuff is super dope. Ended up playing in LA that year. So I would say like 2016 is when the production started kind of like Nervous signed something, J. Paul Ghetto's label signed something, like Simba Black, which is Low Steppa's label. And then like 2017, 2018, I started kind of like DJing better parties in New York, DJing in, let's say like California or San Francisco or like San Diego. So I would say like it was kind of like 2016, 2017. And then, now it obviously continued to push that forward.
Of course. Now, do you think you reached it to the next level? Do you think you would have reached that level without the production? Or do you think DJing was the forefront and then the production helped you?
So I think for me, honestly, I think I'm a DJ first.
Okay.
Like, I know I've been making music for technically longer, but I guess from being an open format DJ, it really taught me how to read the crowd and know what people are liking. And like, I've always considered myself a DJ. If you listen to my production, it's very like disco and Jackin and very like not as techy, but you'll find me in clubs playing techier because I want to make the crowd have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
I feel like they're driving to that energy. Maybe I'm even playing some like harder techno stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've always considered myself a DJ. So I think the DJ stuff, especially in today's world, I think you have to be a producer to like get to a next level on like the next level. Because, you know, Junior and Paul and that late night Jack crew would never discover me if it wasn't for music.
Very true.
I wouldn't be playing in like Mexico or this and that.
Yeah.
On, you know, record labels like Nervous, doing an album with them. All that stuff like adds to your resume. And then if you're a good DJ on top of that, it just makes things easier.
Yeah.
But in today's world, I tell people all the time, you got to be a DJ, a producer, a label owner, a social media influencer.
Everything.
You got to have a photographer. You got to be you got to be a graphic designer.
Exactly.
So like, I think at the minimum, you have to be a good producer almost in ways now to be like, you know, next level successful.
Yeah. So you said that you had those the breakthrough like in 2017. I'm going over your bio, and Jackin House producer overall 2017.
Yeah.
What was that feeling like? Because you said you started making music, this type of music in 2016. So basically a year later, now you're the 19th of all.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of surreal, to be honest. Like, I mean, my first release, like, which was Jackin House, was 2016, and it went like top 10. It was on J. Paul Ghetto's label.
Mm-hmm.
The release was called Happy Feet. I remember it. And I sampled some Mary J. Blige old record. It was like an old Curtis Mayfield sample.
Mm-hmm.
And I just added my Jackin drums and it went well. And I think from there, I knew I was doing something right. And I didn't like naturally know that like, oh, my sound is like very Chicago and old school New York.
Mm-hmm.
But it just happened to be that. And I was only like 24 at the time. So I think people were like, why is this 24-year-old making Jackin House?
Yeah.
Like, it made no sense.
Yeah.
It like made no sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess it was a really cool feeling. At that point, I knew I was doing something right. So then I just kept putting out good music. And then Nervous Sound signed something. That was Jackin House. And then Simba Black signed something. That was Jackin House. And yeah, Traxsource put me top 25, top 20 years. I was 17, like you mentioned.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Then, yeah, I was like, this is wild. I'm doing something right at that point. I really knew I was doing something right. And just kept at it.
And with that stamp, I mean, that probably opens up a lot of doors too, no?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, after that, me and Greco connected. He runs Rawsome, and then like he kind of saw me putting out really good stuff, and then he got me a gig at like Output, and at that time, that's like the #1 club in the world. It wasn't even just like New York's number; it was literally the #1 club in the world. Yeah. So that was like a dream come true, and then. I mean, yeah, more and more people kind of discover you. I ended up playing like Mexico City shortly after that. Yeah, I think when, you know, you're putting up good numbers on the DJ sites, you know, people discover you, labels discover you, and they want to bring you out and they want to meet you and they want you to play. So it's all good stuff.
Yeah. So it seems like, you know, over the last like four years, like you really have taken off. How and kind of why did you decide to come out with your own label? So
I think, you know, for me, I'm at a point of like my DJ career where like, you know, and I humbly say this, I could put a record out on any label and it's going to do, as long as the tracks are good, it's going to get supported, it's going to get charted, DJs are going to play it, it's going to get good Spotify numbers, all yada, yada, yada. And I think I got to a point where like, I was like, you know what? Like, I think it's time for me to be selfish. Like, why do I have to put 3 records of my own on another label and share profits? And why don't I just become a label owner on my own? And honestly, it was like, I almost didn't want to be a label owner, to be honest, because between DJing and like working and producing and now a label owner, it's social life. Like, it's just a lot of work. One more hat to put on. Yeah, but I just felt like, you know, if Defected's not signing my stuff, then what? It should be on my label. Like, I don't have to send it to anyone else. You know what I mean? Yeah. Unless it's, again, Sony who wants to sign my stuff, I'll just put it out on my label. And I think, I also could release other artists, and it just made sense. And trust me, people pushed me to do it. Like Greco pushed me to do it. My older brother pushed me to do it. This guy Hooligan, the Hooligan who used to work for Selection, now he does room service. He's been in the scene forever. He actually got me the deal at Paradise, who does my distributing. So he pushed me to do it. And yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it was a time in my career, my music to create or bring it to another level. I had to be a label owner.
Yeah. So you put on another hat, but now being label owner, you want to put on all the hats. You're the owner, you're A&R, you're doing the press, you're doing everything. Can you let everybody know? Because we have a lot of listeners that are either, young in the game or in the game, but just they don't know how to start like a label, their own label. Can you kind of go through the process of starting and kind of the steps?
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, I think I'm not going to say it was easy, but I think just because I was at a point of my career where I've released with so many people, I've met so many people, I had like the tutelage of how to start it. I mean, essentially, you obviously start with the name, you get the logo, you get the copyrights, the LLC. And then essentially for newer labels, they have to find and get a distribution deal. And that's hard because if you don't have one, good music, or two, no one's heard your stuff before, it's going to be hard for you to get a distribution deal. For me, I got a deal with Parrot. Like they wanted me. So for me, it was not easy, but like it was on my lap. It was just like, dude, you've done everything already. You have the tracks you want to put out. Like Paradise wants to put your music out. And if they didn't want to, someone else would have did it for me anyway. Yeah. And so I think for me, it was a little bit easier because I know now with the market so saturated, it's kind of hard to get a distribution deal sometimes. Like, but I think for me, since I had a connection, my buddy Julio worked there. Paradise saw my releases, saw all the prestigious labels I've released with.
Yeah.
They wanted me as a client. They're like, yeah, we want you. So I had like a Zoom call with them, and like they were basically like selling me why I should use them. So I think for me it was a little bit different. Yeah. But I guess for the young cats who are like, trying, I think the first step is just developing what kind of sound you want to put out, develop what kind of artists you want to, release, and try to get a little bit of a release schedule of what's going on, and then touch base with people. Like I've had people ask me like, how did you start a label? And honestly, like I've told people, so speak. Like not everyone's going to give you that advice, but like there's some good people in the music industry that are going to be willing to give you advice. It's not like a crazy question.
For sure.
So I'll just ask questions, and honestly, it sounds funny, but Google it. Like I just Googled it. And like Google could take you kind of far. I know it's like cliche to say, but it's true. It's true, bro. Sometimes you don't know.
Yeah.
Google it, see what happens. That's how I found out. And then I asked, some of my other friends who started labels, and they kind of just, gave me the steps to how to get there.
Yeah. Speaking of that, did you have any because I know you say you spoke to people, but do you have any like mentors in the game? Either production or label or DJing or anything like that?
Yeah, so my manager right now is Oscar Navarez from Refuge Recordings.
Okay.
So he's been helping me out a lot. We've been working together for like 2 or 3 years. So we chat every week, and he kind of gives me a little bit of a guideline of what, and just we work together and what ways we think we're going to take next steps. I think my brother as well. My brother was an amazing producer growing up. I mean, he was even signed to like Murder Inc.
Oh,
like he was really doing production like for real. Like he was signed to a label, and so definitely him. And then who I mentioned as well, Julio, aka the Hooligan, used to be the tour manager, booking agent for Selection, who like used to be like Kate Trinata and Joe K and Esta. And, it's not really house, but it's like hip hop and house.
Yeah, yeah.
So he does his own thing now called Room Service, and he like tours the world still. And, I'm lucky I met him a couple years ago, and now we're like really close friends.
That's dope.
And he actually got me my deal at Paradise. So we have meetings. He's kind of like my label manager in a way too. Like we talk about releases, and he gives me advice in terms of releases, and also, how I could progress my career as well.
Word. And do you find it, just in the game in general, do you think mentorship and guidance like that is important to grow as an artist?
I think so, for sure. I mean, I think especially in the entertainment industry, I think it's pretty important to like be social and like ask questions and like be out there. Cause like this is like in anything in life, but like especially in the music industry, like no one's gonna just hand you it. You know what I mean? Unless you're like Avicii and you make like some record and it's like goes number one.
Yeah.
Cool. Obviously that could happen. But like in all retrospect, that doesn't happen to 98% of people. So
True.
like, I think it's important to have mentorship because like I honestly didn't have any connections growing up. And I just kind of like would go out and talk to people and like figure out how to get this. And then would hear someone tell me, all right, this is what you should do next. And this is what you should do next. And I think it's definitely helped me to get to, the next step of my, music career for sure.
Hell yeah, bro. So like, what's up with your schedule right now? Like DJing wise, man, like what's coming up?
So I'm actually DJing somewhere nowhere with my boy Rick Wonder on September 9th, which is really dope venue, brand new venue in Manhattan. Actually opened there on Memorial Day weekend for High Low, which is Oliver Heldens' techno name.
Yeah.
So that was really fun, amazing club, like rooftop, you see all the city, great sound system, like all the jazz. And then I'm playing a party with my boy Erez at Chow Chow Disco, which is like a small new venue in Brooklyn. Really cool, very disco oriented, only holds like 100 people. But I've been there a couple of times, like with 40 people, it feels packed and people are dancing and jamming.
Yeah.
And then I got a party with Rawsome on September 24th, which is a boat party that we do every year. New York City skyline, open air.
Sounds fire.
Probably like my favorite party to play all year.
Yeah.
And then I'm playing in Montreal at the end of the month. And then I'm actually working on some stuff in Ecuador for November. And we're going to come out to the West Coast again in December or January in San Diego and LA. Yeah. So yeah, just trying to plug away and stay as busy as I can. I mean, that's really all you could do.
Yeah, man. Yo, let me know about that, the LA and San Diego one, man. Well, I mean, obviously Paul's out here and Alex and Junior, everybody, but
Yeah, bro. 100%. We'll always link for sure.
Definitely. So the schedule for the your label, music wise, can you let us know, like, not necessarily well, if you want to let us know, who's gonna be on some tracks and
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So my next release is September 2nd, which is my release, but I got a remix done from Peasant, which is really cool because Peasant's on Defected and Dirty Bird and all these prestigious record labels. And, and this is like a social aspect, kind of going back to another question. I met him at ADE. Right? If I never met him, he probably knows my music, but if you don't have that personal relationship, I don't know if he'll do a remix for me. Like maybe, but probably not. You know what I mean? So I think like meeting people in person is super important. So I have that September 2nd. And then I have October 14th, Tone Troy, who I know you had him on the show.
The homie.
New York cat.
Yeah.
Super dope. He's released on like Snatch and Realm and Toolroom. He was playing a bunch of my stuff. So I reached out. I was like, listen, I started my own label. Like, you're a New York kid. We live, we're both in the same vicinity.
Yeah.
We'd love to have a release from you. So he sent me a single, which is really cool. And then I got Junior and Paul Nahara from Late Night Jackin to do a remix.
Hell yeah.
So that's pretty fun as well. And then I have a release in November, which is my buddy Nico Herena, who I met out in Puerto Rico the first time I played there, which was in 2017.
Okay.
Crazy enough, we ended up moving to New York like a year later. We ended up becoming like really close friends, like run into each other at a bar. It was like super weird. Like timing was crazy. And he's one of my close friends, and he actually just did a release with Rawsome. So he sent me a couple records which I really liked. Yeah. So I'm going to put those out in November. And I'm actually got this guy Artwork to do a remix. He's from New York as well.
Yeah, that name sounds familiar. Artwork.
Yeah. He's on like Toolroom and some pretty big labels as well. Yeah. He killed the remix. So that's coming out as well. And then I have another EP of mine coming out in January. So the next 4 releases are set.
Hell yeah.
And then I'm getting demos like daily at this point.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely put all the link information in the bio so everybody can go pick it up from the Traxsources and the Beatports and the Spotifys and all that for sure.
Sure, man.
Hell yeah. So we have a new segment on the podcast. I reached out to
cool.
people on Instagram asking for questions, and then by these questions, you probably can know who it is. Okay, so the first question is: do you prefer tight jeans or spandex tights? And then the second one is: how many CDJs have you broken during your infamous backspins?
Oh,
and
man.
those are from our boys.
Those are my boys right there. Those are my boys.
Word.
I prefer spandex, not kidding. And I've broken like 100 CDJs. But those are the homies, man. The first time I met those guys, I don't know, it was weird, bro. We just connected in like not even a music level, just on a personal level. So
yeah, man.
Shouts to them.
They're super cool. I'm super down to earth. They're just fucking silly guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. So
silly
much fun, dude. The first time I went there, we just had a blast. It was awesome, dude.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
All right, fam. Well, yeah, I mean, this podcast has been great, man. I wish we can go for longer, but time restraints are in the building. You know what I mean? But my dude, yo, say thank you for coming on the podcast, and man, have a good day, bro.
Yeah, thank you so much, bro. We'll talk soon, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother.